We live in a world saturated by images, making Revelation, which offers dramatic, almost cinematic visions, a book for our days. Revelation 14, 6-7, the author sees an angel. Listen to the eternal good news that the angel proclaims to the four corners of the earth. Fear God and give him glory. This means placing God first and giving him due weight in our lives. In other words, worshipping him. Right at the end of the Bible, in the angel's proclamation to every nation and tribe and language and people, we hear the echo that has resonated through its pages. God is the eternal common good. It's perhaps rather more surprising, however, to read that the eternal gospel involves God's judgment. God's judgment, though, is not like a celestial referee dispensing heavenly red cards. It is about putting things right. In a word, of establishing God's justice. This is why the persecuted churches of Revelation are offered God's judgment as a source of hope in an unjust world. We've already seen that the Bible is very concerned that people act justly, and that working for justice is a key aspect of building the common good. The eternal gospel's reference to creation points back to Genesis and God's declaration that the world he made was very good. Among other things, this means that there are firm foundations for what is right and wrong. They're not simply culturally determined or what powerful people decide, but have their roots in the way God has made things. Thus, the common good is objectively good. It doesn't just depend on the loudest voices saying so. In fact, we should be suspicious of claims by particular interest groups that something is good. Quite often, it's especially good for them. Similarly, we can question the motives of those who claim to be working for the common good, yet refuse to work with others. We have seen that God's judgment is good news and not a big stick, because it is God putting things right. This recreation is highlighted by the images of the sea and springs of water. These are perhaps unexpected in an eternal gospel, for we tend to think of eternal things are not only timeless but formless too. Yet God's vindication of his initial judgment to create the world in a particular way invites us to care for his creation. In fact, caring for God's creation is part of building the common good, because creation is common to everything and integral to human flourishing. Although some, through luck or providence, will be able to benefit to a greater extent than others, the Bible is clear that exploitation of the land by a few for their own profits is not to be tolerated. The angel's message is proclaimed throughout the world because everyone is valued by God and so can respond to the eternal gospel. So it follows that all people, regardless of background, have a responsibility to contribute to the common good, from the grassroots to the boardroom. Thus, there are no grounds for excluding others because they are different from us. This can be challenging, of course. As we work together, we offer a counter-cultural picture to the world, an example of people living in the light of an eternal gospel. Type your script here.